Hi, in today's video, I'm going to talk about operations and functions. Operations and functions is basically the basic operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So these are the operations that we apply on numbers, and we also apply this in or on functions. Suppose, let us say that we have f of x is equal to 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 7, and g of x is equal to, say, x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2x and then plus 6. If we say, if we have a symbol like f plus g of x, this means f of x plus g of x, meaning to say all we have to do is to get the sum of the expression for the f of x and the g of x. If we have f minus g of x, it means f of x minus g of x. In the same way, if we have f, a dot, and a g, and this x, this means f of x times g of x. In algebra, a dot means to multiply. Sometimes you could also see it in this manner, in which the dot is no longer indicated, but they mean, or it means, that we have to multiply. Finally, the last operation is f. So there's a fraction f and g and of x. This means we have to divide f of x over g of x. In some cases, when the expressions cannot be divided or simplified, we should leave the expression as f of x over g of x as is. Okay, so let's take, for example, what we have here, given that f of x is 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 7, and g of x is equal to x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2x plus 6. Let us start with the f plus g of x. F plus g of x, again, is f of x plus g of x. So this means we copy 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 7, and then we have to add the expression for x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2x, and then we have the plus 6, and then we can also put that inside the parentheses. From here, there are many ways on how we can combine the two expressions. For instance, we can look at the expressions directly and say the 3x cubed and an x cubed will become 4x cubed, and then 2x squared, the negative 2x squared, and 4x squared becomes 2x squared, and 4x minus 2x is 2x, and negative 7 and 6 is negative 1. Okay, but some people cannot do that directly. So an alternative way of adding instead of horizontally, what we can do is we rewrite the expression in a vertical manner, noting that we are adding the two. So try to align the like terms, like for 3x cubed, we have x cubed, and then 4x squared minus 2x, and then plus 6. And then you add vertically. 3x cubed and an x cubed will become 4x cubed, negative 2x squared or minus 2x squared plus 4x squared is positive 2x squared. Positive 4 and negative 2 is positive 2, so it's a plus 2x. Negative 7 and a 6 is equal to negative 1. Okay, so the sum of f of x and g of x is 4x cubed plus 2x squared plus 2x minus 1. Next, let's work on the difference of the two functions. Say f minus g of x. So this means we have to subtract g of x from f of x. Take note that for subtraction, f minus g of x is not the same as g minus f of x, as this will ask you to find g of x minus f of x, and in some cases the answers are not the same. Or we could say at most cases the answers will not be the same. Okay, let's focus on the first, which is f minus g of x. So what we could do is the same with addition. We follow f of x and then minus the g of x. So that means we copy 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 7, put them in a parenthesis, and then minus the group x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2x plus the 6. Again, you have the option to do this horizontally by always noting that you are subtracting every like terms. So for instance, 3x cubed minus x cubed is 2x cubed. Negative 2x squared minus positive 4x squared will become negative 6x squared. So we write minus 6x squared. 4x minus 2x is like 4x plus 2x or 6x, and minus 7 minus 6 is minus, or negative 6 rather, is negative 13. So as you notice, the horizontal could be more difficult to more people, so I suggest that we do this vertically in the same way that when we added the two functions. So again, to do that, we rewrite 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 7 minus the group of x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2x plus 6. In order for you not to be confused with this minus sign, we will be placing the second group within or inside the parenthesis. Okay? Now we perform the subtraction. So first, 3x cubed minus x cubed. It's like take away x cubed from 3x cubed, and that will give you 2x cubed. Next, minus 2x squared, take that as negative 2x squared minus 4x squared. It's like a negative 2 minus 4, and that should be negative 6. And then you have x squared. Then 4x, positive 4x minus a negative. Minus a negative means plus. So 4x plus 2x becomes 6x. So we have plus 6x. Finally, negative 7 minus 6 is like negative 7 and a negative 6. So that should be negative 13. And as you can see, the answers that we obtain from the first, the horizontal approach, and then the vertical approach are the same. So it's up to you which one you will apply depending on whether you are comfortable with horizontal or more comfortable with the vertical. For multiplication, I will write the expressions, but I'll be making another video specifically on multiplication because it will take some time for us to get the product in the examples that I set. Okay, but to give you the general idea, if we have f times g of x, it means we multiply f of x and the g of x. So that means we copy 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 7, and then we multiply this by x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2x plus the 6. And if you remember, when we multiply expressions such as x plus 2 times x minus 3, one approach is that we focus on this first term and then distribute that to every term in the second expression or group of expressions, and then after that you use the second expression 2 to multiply it to x and the 3, and then you just have to add any similar terms after that. So in our case, you have a very long expression for an f of x and a very long expression for the g of x. So doing that same process will takes some time even for other approaches, but there are many possible areas where you can commit an error. So in another video, I'll be showing you an approach that could simplify somehow, or to teach you how to organize the expression so that you can minimize mistakes in multiplication. Okay, but for now, let me just show you that whenever we have f of x times g of x, that's basically the f of x and then multiply it by the expression for the g of x. Okay, finally, we look into the quotient of f and g, and again we have f of x over the g of x. And as we can see, all we have to do is we copy the f of x and we place that in the numerator, minus 2x squared and plus 4x minus 7, and you have x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2x plus 6. In most cases, we will be leaving it in that way unless we have a way to simplify the expression. Okay, but for the most basic idea, all we have to do is to place the f of x. If it says f of x over g of x, you place the f of x on top and then g of x below. But if I say g over f of x, then that will be a different expression. Okay, so same with multiplication. I'll be using another video that will be focusing on the division of function. Okay, so for now, I'm leaving with you the general idea on how to multiply and divide functions. Okay, so as we can see, the focus of this video became or was more on the addition and subtraction. Okay, so those are the basic ideas that you need to know about the operations on functions.